All right, chat. We're back. Let's get this thing started. We're going to do a quick market update. We're going to take a look at Coinbase, and then we're going to go from there. So let's just get into this bullish news. Tons and tons and tons of things to cover right now, and we are going into Uptober. So why don't we just take a look at all of this different bullish news that's going to lead us into Uptober, Upvember. I don't know what the kids are saying these days, and grown adults are saying. There's a December one as well, but let's just stick with Uptober because I don't even know what they all are. So what is the market doing today? The last day of September. Everything is pooping. Look at this, guys. Bitcoin's down. ETH is down. Solana's down. ADA's down. This might be your last chance. A 79-cent ADA. This might be your last chance over the next month or so to see ADA. Maybe under 85 cents, under 90 cents, under $1. I don't know. AVAX is down. Everything is down today, guys. Monero's up. MYX Finance is up. I mean, that's about it. Look at this. Out of the top 50 or so, everything is pretty much just pump fun. Who cares? Probably some of you degenerates out there. But not me, guys. We're going to take a look. Let's just keep it moving. Okay, this is from Cointelegraph. The latest, Binance recorded basically almost $15 billion in net inflows in Q3 2025. That's the largest amongst centralized exchanges. Am I shocked by that? No. Binance always leads the way. But what does that scream? What does that tell us? Thoughts on recent gold and M2 money supply pump? You are reading my mind, brother. Let me just get to that. Chart, pull it up, bar chart. Gold unstoppable as it jumps to new all-time highs. Already had it pulled up for you, brother. Who's commenting on this? Tech dude. Appreciate you commenting, brother. Already had it waiting for you. And also, let's go to the Kabisi letter. Overnight gains are accelerating. Silver. Guys, silver. Okay, US gold reserves and silver are doing their thing here, guys. Silver prices are up 63% year to date. I've been telling you guys for 3+ years that silver is going to make a run. If there's one thing Robert Kiyosaki has been right on in recent years, it has been about gold, silver, and Bitcoin. If there's one thing I do listen to Robert Kiyosaki on, it's about commodities. Okay, I know he makes these doomsday predictions like every year that the world's going to frickin' collapse. Ray Dalio is also making similar predictions now about the economy and the collapse of the dollar, right? This is why we Bitcoin. This is why we're in crypto, guys, because the dollar continuously loses value. So what happens when they print more and they spend more and deflate it away and the M2 money supply goes like this? Bitcoin, commodity prices go up. That's why we are seeing gold going insane right now. Gold hit over $3,900 an ounce. Probably going to pass 4K at some point soon. I don't have this chart pulled up, but Donald Trump, well, it's not a chart, but news. Donald Trump just recently announced that he's going to spend over $1 trillion on the military in 2026. So now we know for a fact that nor the left or the right are going to stop printing money. Meaning the national debt is just going to continue to rise. Meaning the US dollar is just going to continue to go to shit. Meaning Bitcoin and gold, etc., are going to continue to gain value. It's just a fact. Now, this is something that we've been covering for years. It was more speculative 4+5 years ago, etc. Even though people like Max Kaiser saw this a decade ago and has been on Bitcoin ever since. He's probably sitting very pretty right now. Michael Saylor understands this as well. It's just crazy, guys. Donald Trump is doing great things, setting up infrastructure for crypto. You know, that's great. He's doing a lot for the industry. It's great. We have to be very grateful for the orange man. However, at the same time, I do feel kind of lied to. I thought bro was going to try to get inflation, the printing of money, which inevitably is inflation, obviously. That's basically the definition. If you're not a bought and paid for economist, you know that the printing of money inevitably ends up in inflation because you're putting more dollars in circulation, which devalues every single dollar in circulation. So if Donald Trump's not going to stop spending and printing, then who is? Well, the only two people who ever said that they would is Elon Musk and Thomas Massey, and Rand Paul and his father. That's about it. But unfortunately, Elon Musk could never be president. He tried to help with Doge, and he recently just said the government is basically unfixable. So this is probably just going to continue until the collapse of the dollar in 100 years or something, maybe even less than that. This is how important this is. I really don't think people get it. I'm not trying to be scary or anything of this nature, but Tech Dude, I appreciate the comment. You just kicked off this live, took it in a different direction in a way I didn't really plan on starting, but I like this. I love talking about this because at the same time, guys, like, we need to be honest about the direction of where things are going. This is why I'm sure you guys watching on stream with me right now are in crypto, because we understand we can't trust centralized authorities and governments around the world to not debase our currencies. This is a pattern throughout history, since the beginning of time, since back to the Romans. Okay, you can't trust a government to not inflate your currency. Fiat currencies have a specific life expectancy. The US dollar is falling right into that curve. Okay, so at some point in time, very rationally, possibly in our lifetimes, almost certain in our kids or grandkids' lifetimes, the dollar is gonna be shit. So right now, yeah, it's probably best we try to find a different alternative. And this is why I'm sure that we're all in here. Let's just keep it moving. Let's share this instead. Let's go right to here next. This is a good transition. This is John Deaton responding to Brian Armstrong, who's been very vocal lately about what banks are trying to do to crypto. Still, Project Choke Point 3.0. If you guys don't know who John Deaton is, he's not a nobody. Former candidate, U.S. Senate founder, Crypto Law US, managing partner, Deaton Law Firm. This guy's been everywhere, all right? He says, after quoting Brian Armstrong, if we all know, one of the most infamous bald men in all of crypto, CEO of Coinbase, John Deaton said, "Let me be clear, banks are the enemy of the people. I'm glad Brian Armstrong is bullish and fighting back against them, but we can't underestimate the hold they have on many senators. Ed Markey is one of the senators bought and paid for by the big banks. After they caused the GFC of 2008, Ed Markey bailed the banks out. Regular people lost their homes while bankers who caused it all got huge bonuses. Ed Markey definitely knows how to play the Washington game. He's been there since 1976. Whoops, I thought I was sharing this. There we go. But this is who we're up against, guys. This is what every individual like Brian Armstrong and you and me are up against. Let's just listen to Brian real quick and see what he has to say. I'm going to reverse this. Let's go. This was yesterday, by the way. Okay. Let's see what Brian Armstrong said yesterday after being in DC and seeing all this firsthand.
You probably all know that we got the Genius Act already passed into law for stablecoins, which is great. The next step is we've got to get market structure passed. And I've actually never been more bullish on this getting through. We've already seen strong bipartisan support in the House. Now it's being deliberated in the Senate. This has not stopped the banks from coming in and trying to relitigate issues that were already settled in the Genius Act. In particular, they're trying to ban rewards on stablecoins, even though this is already settled into law. And we're making sure that the Senate knows that they bailing out the big banks, which are having record profit margins at the expense of the American consumer, is not going to fly. That would be a foolish thing to do politically because there's 50 million Americans like you who have now used crypto, and they want to make sure that they can actually earn more money with their money. Who'd have thought? So visit standwithcrypto.org if you want to help and support. We'd love your help in contacting senators and congresspeople to make sure we get market structure passed and preserve rewards on stablecoins. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you, Brian. Right? You know what? Thank you, Brian. What a guy. Okay. And he's absolutely right. Let's just kick it back to Coinbase real quick. If we take a look, right? We all know Coinbase and USDC. Let's take a look at the right side here. This is what they're trying to ban, guys. They're trying to ban rewards. They don't want you to have a 4.10% APY with USDC. They don't want you to have a nearly 16% APY with Cosmos or 8% with Polkadot, almost 5% here on Coinbase with Solana. They don't want these options available. because they want to be the one giving you the yield. They want to be the one having those assets and reserves in their bank accounts as they take it using a fractional reserve banking system and then lend it out 10x. That's what happens, right? Insane, guys. Insane. Jamie Dimon's out there still doing his thing, still trying to kill the industry, still lying to everybody. But we also have this guy. Who can we trust? I don't know. This guy's revered as a god in China. And, you know, I'm not just saying that. Someone that I met from China, a developer who works on Facebook, told me that while I met him on a hike here in Arizona. Shout out to you, brother. Hope you're watching right now. But not predicting the future, and don't get too excited, as September in the past, my first crypto cycle just data. This is 2017. So basically CZ is saying, look, it's about to be a bullish month. We're probably going to see history rhyme. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes like freaking Lil Wayne, okay? So why don't we move on to this now? Continuing with the bullish news. This is Chris, Crypto.com, okay? CEO. Incredibly proud that Crypto.com is the first major crypto platform to obtain the full stack of CFTC derivatives licenses. This is huge, guys. This will enable us to seamlessly provide clients with the best derivatives trading experience in the market. Okay, we have more Crypto.com news. Tokenization of RWA coming to Kronos in partnership with AWS Cloud. I mean, crazy. We have a ton of AWS Cloud competitors in the crypto space. But I'm pointing this out back to back to back. Crypto.com just going after it. This is from Coin Bureau. Crypto.com to launch $400 million Solana treasury. This is insane, guys. Okay, we just saw Kronos in this partnership with Trump. CRO is doing a lot. Their marketing has always been insane. Who knows, guys? I mean, the future is very bright. We have legislation that is just basically setting up the groundwork for the CROs of the world here in the United States to just go absolutely crazy in the future. So if you were a CRO holder in the past and maybe you're down, maybe just hold it out, ride it out, because, you know, obviously everyone's speculating. This is what we're doing here right now, talking about the next 3 months. Q4 could look pretty insane. But again, just zoom out still after that. 2026, 2027, you know, whatever. We might have the normal cycles. Raoul Pal, we talked about yesterday, that might be a 5-year cycle this time. But still, we're going to see a correction. And we might have some boring 1.5 2 years again, as we normally have our crypto cycles, until Bitcoin halves again and things start going crazy again. Or not. You know, all this money from institutions pouring in could just do away with all that. Who knows, guys? But the point is, just zoom out and have a longer term mindset. And if you're seeing Crypto.com doing all these things right now, I mean, that's absolutely crazy. Like, it could be very big. Could be very, very big. All right. Now let's keep it moving. This is also massive. Charles Hoskinson. If you guys live under a rock and you don't know who this guy is, this is obviously founder of IOHK and, you know, Cardano. Proud to be working with Google on Midnight. They are a wonderful company and add a ton of value to our ecosystem. Midnight in Google, guys. If you don't know what Midnight is, this is basically the privacy arm of Cardano. This is crazy. Biggest airdrop in all of crypto so far, I believe Midnight is. The Midnight Midnight Fund is collaborating with Google Cloud to accelerate privacy-first infrastructure and advance zero-knowledge technology as essential infrastructure for the next generation of digital systems. Wow. Under this collaboration, Google will operate critical network infrastructure, including a validator. They're going to be running an ADA validator, guys. Provide confidential computing from Google Cloud to strengthen data protection. A lot more. Open doors for builders via the Google for Startups Web3 program with up to 200K in credits. Yeah. I mean, this is just absolutely incredible. Like, this is crazy. The amount of synergy now between Wall Street and crypto and blockchain, etc. It's no secret anymore. And it's just insane to me how I still talk to the everyday average person, and none of them have any exposure to crypto. Half of them still believe it's some sort of scam. It's insane to me, like absolutely insane to me how people, obviously we do this every day. I do this every day. You guys are tapping in with me right now. So if you're here with me, you obviously know about this technology, you know what's coming. But still, I think it's under like 10% of people globally own crypto, something like that still. Chat, anyone want to tell me that number is, how off I am? Just think about that. If you're here right now, you're early. Now, you might not be early to Bitcoin, but there's thousands of other cryptocurrencies, and there's definitely, 100 or hundreds of real world utility projects that maybe you don't even know about yet, maybe don't even exist yet, that are going to be changing the world in the coming years. This technology is already enhancing Fortune 500 companies. We're seeing banks have to pivot and literally try to kill the industry for years, or suffocate it, or stop trying, the Geminis and the Coinbases and of the world from giving yield and for getting licenses. We saw what they tried to do to Ripple. It's insane. But at the same time, what are we seeing? We're seeing this. Okay, $100 billion. Excuse me, $1 billion. $1 billion of on-chain loans have been generated through Coinbase. That means you can get a loan in USDC if you put up your Bitcoin as collateral. People are no longer turning to banks to get loans. They're going to Coinbase, using their Bitcoin as collateral to get a loan. That is insane. You don't think banks are threatened by this? This is why Brian Armstrong is in DC. This is why all these guys, all these founders, the Winklevoss twins are in DC. Brad Garlinghouse in DC. Charles Hoskinson in DC. We've seen CZ's name get thrown in the mix. CRO president, Avalanche in the mix. There's a lot going on, guys. Hedera. A lot going on, guys. Further, the US jobs openings came in at 7,227,000. Expected was 7,100,000. More bullish news. Oh, man. I mean, listen, I'll say it again until I annoy the crap out of you guys. Right now is not the time to be shaken out. Okay, we see a lot of retail come into the space, see some volatility, and they're like, oh my God, maybe I shouldn't have done this. No. This is what it is, guys. If you can't stomach downturns, then go invest in freaking Apple and call it a day. I don't know. This is what crypto is, and this is nothing. If you guys were here during FTX 3 years ago, and Voyager, and 3 Hours Capital, and Celsius, I mean, when everything was getting murdered, ADA was like 26 cents. ETH was down, I think, at during this time period to like $900. Let's just check this. ETH is at 4K right now, guys. During the time of the crash with FTX and all that, look at this. This is 2022 time. Look what happened. ETH went from 3,000 down to basically 1,200, and I'm pretty sure it dipped at like 800 for a second. If I can find it. I mean, I remember this time period. Like the prices were insane, in a good way. Well, in a bad way if you're scared and you you can't zoom out and you don't realize the future. But this is what happens. Insane to me. So why don't we just go back to this, just start it all off, because this is what I had in my flow chart, the order here. Gold is unstoppable as it jumps to a new all-time high. I don't think this is going to stop. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin starts running. Normally, this is what we see. When a gold chart looks like this, not right away, but Bitcoin follows. We saw my guy Tech Dude in the beginning of the stream here talk about the M2 money supply. We did that live stream last week. It is continuing to expand. What does that mean? It means Bitcoin follows. Now, let's just go to this. It's not on the screen. There we go. Okay. So, The SEC is reportedly moving to allow stocks to trade like crypto, where stocks would trade on chain. Do you guys see what's happening here? Under the plan, investors could buy tokens on crypto exchanges that represent shares of companies like Tesla or Nvidia. Now, we've already seen reports like this. I believe this is happening on Solana, other chains as well. This is just insane, guys. This is obvious upgrades in technology that Wall Street, that banks, that institutions, that Fortune 500 companies are running to because they need to. Because if they don't, they will be left behind. This is what I was trying to tell people 4 years ago. Even though nobody saw it yet, even though it wasn't happening yet, just use your freaking head. It's obvious. It's rational. Oh, there's an upgrade in technology that makes all these things more efficient. No shit, the people are going to run to it. Now we're finally seeing it. It's playing out in real time now. So again, stay the course and zoom out and have a long-term mindset. Amazon stock, Apple stock went up insane amounts over decades, right? Not a year, guys. So if you're just getting into crypto and you've been in here for a couple months or 12 months or something even, you don't want to just get in and get out. This is a long-term game. Yes, you can make larger sums of money in a short amount of time in this space, but that's not the end all be all. It's not the end goal. For me, this is a retirement in a shorter time frame that I can use retirement with a 401k or a Roth or something like that with the S&P. It's a similar strategy, yes, but basically we're cutting that time frame in half. That's my strategy. I feel like that's a lot of people's strategy who have been doing this, who have been investors for a long time, who are much older than me. Honestly, I think that's the move. I think that's what people are anticipating. So yes, keep your eyes on the gold chart. Silver's running up. I literally said this 3 years ago. I had silver in my Roth and I watched it go up and I switched it over to Bitcoin because I'm long Bitcoin over anything, even though I knew silver was going up. Silver is different than gold for a lot of different ways, obviously, guys. It's the old Bitcoin and Litecoin argument, or Bitcoin and Caspa argument now in crypto. It's, these things are more fungible, better used as a currency, right? It's you can use it more, but at the same time, what is big about silver that nobody's talking about? Silver is an industrial product. Silver is in EV batteries. Silver is in a lot of these technologies that we're using right now. And you have to mine it, folks. It has, not that it's a capped supply, but if you actually do the research and dig in a little bit, so like we're running out of silver deposits. And once you put that silver into a battery or something, you can't reuse it. So the price of silver is going to shoot up because, again, they're printing money and people run to commodities, and gold has always been a safe haven. So has silver. Now people are, saying that's Bitcoin now in a digital version, which is a quote unquote, not me, but the best investors of all time now saying this confidently. Bitcoin is a better and a digital version of gold. But also, again, silver too, kind of, because like I'm saying, it's an industrial used product and there's not an infinite amount of it to go around. You could get more from the earth, but that takes time and manpower and effort. And that's why they say Bitcoin's superior, because you can't create more of it. It's finite and it's scarce. It's mathematically designed to just go up over time if the adoption continues to happen and if they continue to print money. It's just a fact. Right now, if you pay attention to what's going on globally, and again, guys, this isn't me saying this. If you want to look up and listen to the billionaires of the world, like I said, Robert Kiyosaki, Ray Dalio, Bill Miller, Stanley Druckenmiller, these are guys who have been doing this for a very, very long time. There's so many of them. These guys need to find somewhere to park their money. This is something Saylor talks about, Michael Saylor. There's only so many beachfront properties, right? There's only so much real estate or art or gold, etc., that you can really invest in. Bitcoin's 21 million, that's it, it's capped. There's only so much Bitcoin you can invest in. And what's going to give them that better return over time? It's Bitcoin. It's provably so. Provably. Over time, zoom out, nothing's had a higher return. All right. So there's a couple more things I want to talk about on the stream. We got through a lot today, ladies and gentlemen. We talked a lot about CRO. We talked a lot about what gold is doing, silver is doing. We took a look at the markets. Binance, record high inflows in Q3. And I'm just anticipating that's just going to continue here in Q4. Retail seems to be coming in. CZ is incredibly bullish. We have a lot of big name guys in crypto right now who are incredibly bullish. Eric Trump is saying that Q4 is going to be insane. Now, take that with a grain of salt. That doesn't mean, he might not trying to be scam you. That's some people's, some people are saying that he's just doing that so he can scam everybody. I don't necessarily think so, but it is what it is. You can have your own thoughts. Now, I do want to end with this, okay? This is CIO of Monarch Asset Management. Why do I want to end with this? Well, we just got rate cuts in September, and the speculation is we're going to get more in Uptober. Now, what would that mean? As we all know, potentially extremely bullish for the markets. So this is all in crypto. He's got a good YouTube channel, but this guy believes Fed cuts can potentially bring a major DeFi resurgence, quote unquote, when the Fed cuts interest rates, the risk-free rate in public markets goes down, which then makes the rate in DeFi more valuable. Let's just maybe end it off here and listen to what this guy has to say about Fed rate cuts, because we just got some. We might get more. And that's just going to add to the bullish sentiment that we've been discussing on the stream that we will see in Q4. Let's get it.
The thing I look at is from the lens of DeFi and yield. And so one of the things that really impacts DeFi at the macro level is the Fed monetary policy, right? And it is interesting. So the Fed, as we all know, Fed dropped interest rates, they cut interest rates by 25 bips last week. What that does is, it's very interesting about the impact in DeFi. There's two impacts. One is that when the Fed cuts interest rates, the risk-free rate in public markets goes down, which then makes the rate in DeFi more valuable, right? So today you can earn 4 to 6% on Aave and Morpho, and that's great. But when the T-bill rate goes down into the 3.5%, this becomes a lot more interesting. The second thing that happens when the Fed cuts rates is that it becomes a risk on, right? There's a lot more money in the market. People take more risks. They're coming into DeFi. They're levering up on perps, and all that again causes the yields to go up. So for us, if I had to say, the single biggest factor that impacts DeFi yields is the Fed monetary policy. That's what we've been looking at.
And when you think of macro, I feel like yield is what so many people talk about. And do you see a future where TradFi has to start figuring out how to match the yields of DeFi?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this is one of the big trends, if you will, that's happening, where we're starting to see TradFi players coming into crypto. We've seen that in multiple places. We've seen that on the real world asset side, where we have players like Apollo and I guess Hamilton Lane coming in, they're tokenizing and real world asset products. On the flip side, we actually have the Fidelities of the world who are allowing their clients to be on chain, right? And so we're absolutely going to see that, I think, in the next couple of years, maybe 3 years, we're going to start seeing, I think, that convergence of TradFi and DeFi.
Yeah. I mean, he said it there best, guys. He basically talked about they need to keep up with the yield that DeFi is offering. And that's why Brian Armstrong was in DC. That's why they're pushing back. That was John Deaton's comment that we looked at earlier. And this was another live stream here on the Coin Zone. I'm Crypto with Paul. I appreciate you guys for tapping in. If you haven't subbed already, go ahead and make sure to do that for me, especially if you enjoyed this. That would make my day, and that would be how you can support us best. So stay tuned. We'll be back for more. I appreciate you guys. Once again, this is the Coin Zone. I'm Crypto with Paul. I'll see you guys next time.